Everybody, this is a video about the DAX Bull EA. It's a EA release for MT4 and MT5, which you can essentially just put onto the graph, ideally the DAX 15-minute chart, and let it run. That's it. There is no customization needed for this bot, unlike other bots. The purpose of this video is to give you an understanding of what it does, why, and how I've kind of done the process to try and ensure that it is profitable into the future. I'll be honest, this video could be quite long and it could get quite technical. If you're gonna get bored by that, then honestly it might not be the best thing for you. But I am dedicated to try and be honest and open. MQL5 is full of somewhat extremely dishonest creators. Not all of them, but a lot of the bots are oversold or are very deceitful, or are, they're maybe not explaining, they've maybe taken advantage of people's lack of knowledge. I am not perfect, I'm not infallible, but I just wish to be very open on everything that I can be, and I'm definitely open to questions. So, what's the point of this EA? The point is simplicity. It's based on the simple moving average. Why? Because if you hear about a lot of the sort of most famous day traders, a lot of them do say that the SMA is probably one of the few statistically relevant indicators. Like over a period of time, it just shows to be more right than wrong. While a lot of other indicators, as sexy as the name might be, just are random, or they're not even helpful in the slightest. So I thought, okay, let's just make an EA that's simple, that runs on a simple present like premise, and make it better. And I did use machine learning for the record, and I'll explain how. Now, so I built a long and a short signal that were mirrored and the same, and based on the moving average, and then I used machine learning, AI essentially, to run through millions of different variations in terms of stop loss, profit taking, sort of using the sort of true range and things like this to kind of understand when it should enter and exit, ATR in particular. And this is kind of the result of a number of variations and a lot of testing and chopping and changing things. Now, I want to explain quickly about, I'm going to show you a graph, and I want to show you something that might help to understand basically overfitting. So a lot of the EAs you see on the store basically have perfect backtests. Like they just got a backtest that goes like this. And you think, how is someone selling something that is going to make you millions per year? The reality is, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So the way a lot of these programs work is that the EA will buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here. And the best way to think about it is that basically the EA was caused by the graph, not the graph was caused by the EA. So you can quite easily, well not easily, but through machine learning, through millions of variations, you can have a bot that will just due to the massive amount of data thrown at it, be buying and selling based on its programming, like nearly perfect points on a regular basis, which sounds great, but the issue is that the future doesn't work this way. And what you'll find is that a lot of these bots, when it comes to the future, they just have random results, nothing close to backtests. So I don't know if that's a way of explaining it in very simple form, but that's essentially what happens. So the danger of machine learning is you have these hugely perfect bots that just don't actually work. Their premise is wrong, the causation is wrong, and it just basically doesn't work into the future. So a lot of my testing and breakdown of strategies was actually trying to avoid this being the case. So I can show you some of the things that I did. So first of all, I used a very big data sample. I started using maybe first year data, then second year, but I expanded all the way to actually not 2013, but 2011. So there's many years of data this is used on, and a very big sample size, I think over 3,000 trades. So the bigger the sample size, the more likely that you actually have something that's statistically relevant, and it helps with a good Z-score, which this just about has. The other thing I did was using Montecarlo tests. So to explain them, essentially the aim of these is they change historical data in certain ways. So trading order, sample methods, skipping trades, this is this example, and sees how the results differ. Now, what you want to see is ideally having all the results as close as possible and still profitable. In this case, they're not close together, but they're all profitable still. And another thing you might notice is actually most of the variation makes it more profitable. It shows that this is not a fully optimized bot. It's maybe a good way to put it. If it was, you'd expect a much higher score. You'd expect this blue line to be at the top, but it isn't. So it's in the middle, which is, I'd argue, a good thing. Next thing is another Monte Carlo test. This has a lot more variations. So looking at randomizing history, slippage, spread, starting bar, even the parameters of the strategy. Once again, they're all in the positive still. So it's not proof of anything, and you have to take everything with a pinch of salt, but it's just a good starting point to suggest that this strategy can have relevance in the future. It's robust. It can deal with things not being perfect. The next thing is also testing on the other markets. So it has been tested on the Dow, it has been tested on the French stock exchange and on the NASDAQ. And I'll show you the back test for the NASDAQ. So here we go. So here, basically on the NASDAQ for the last 5 years, and this is the market it was not designed for, it shows profit. Not crazy profit, it's only a 1.15 profit factor, but it's profitable. Now, the reason this is kind of important, forgive me, I've got a message. The reason this is actually important is because if it only works in one market, then it's probably overfitted to that market. But in this case, it does appear to be relevant to other markets, which, given it's just a simple moving average, makes sense. So this is part of kind of the process of trying to avoid overfitting. It doesn't mean that it will work in the future. I have got a live signal open for this. It's only a few days old. So far, so good actually. It's already in profit and it's already got a profit to equity, but this could change. Like, this is way too early. So if you are particularly risk averse, I would not recommend buying this bot until you probably see this at week 12, week 18, and you see it still in profit. But the price is low enough that I hope to maybe tempt some people to actually give it a go with me. I'm going to put this on real money very soon. It's going to be added to my main portfolio. But for pure openness and honesty, if you are risk averse, which I think is the best way to be, you probably want to give this a few weeks. But at least there is live data. This is non-past data that's already set up for. And I think everything else is somewhat well explained. It's a plug and play EA. You put it onto the graph. A lot of the settings I've made unchangeable for this, but if you do want to change the settings, I'm open to sending you, if you acquire the product, I'm open to sending you the, let's say, the version that you can change, so you can mess around with the settings. But generally speaking, I just want this to be a plug and play, simple bot that you can add. If it keeps on making money and it keeps on showing very good future results, I will be increasing the price, because there's been enough time put into this, and the back tests combined with the methodology, combined with the reasoning, look solid enough that I feel I'd be justified in doing so. But again, we will see what the future brings. Last thing to say, while its results are good, they're not outstanding. Okay, it might look attractive, okay, it made 180,000 or whatever. That's actually not a crazy amount over such a long period of time. That's actually quite conservative. You could argue it just doesn't make as much money by just putting money and holding on the stock market. So I don't think this bot is having an alpha result. It probably has an edge, but not an edge that is unfair. Therefore, this sort of bot I do not think is going to make anyone multimillionaires, realistically, me included. But it could be a nice addition to a portfolio combined with other profitable bots to add a bit more, add more security, add more variance. Ultimately, this is a retraction type bot, as in it's looking at retracements. When the SMA hits a certain point, it will sell or buy. Therefore, it is programmed to only do one trade at a time. That's deliberate, because if you go into a trend day, then it could then, if the market keeps on going against it, it'll keep on going and going, and it will no longer be profitable. So it's not the most exciting bot in that regard. It will probably only make a few trades per week, but if it ends up making you money, do you care? So this is the bot. I'm sorry for such a long video. If you stayed this long, then respect. And I'm always looking for people to collaborate with. I'm a hobbyist EA maker at best, and it is just something that's fun for me. But if it can make some people money, including myself, all the better. All right, so message me on MQL5 with questions, and I'm curious to see what people think and what results will come.